Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Dr. Kelly Edmonds. She is a spiritual mentor, intuitive healer, and the author of The Embodied Mystic, practical and mystical guide on soul partnership, ancestral wisdom, and the energy mastery to transform your life. It will be released in January of 2026. This is my brief bio about you, Kelly. But we had an interview before and we talked off record. So I kind of have already like a taste of your being in me. You left a very, very beautiful impression the first time we met.
Oh, thank you.
An imprint, I would say imprint. It's more like than than psychological, intellectual. It's kind of my body. It feels really good. So thank you so much for being the embodiment of that, of that glimpse of greatness. Thank you. So the question I have for everyone in the very beginning, before we begin, is almost like as a prayer, as a form of meditation. I always ask the same question, never left me, and it still feels as important to ask again and again. How would you introduce yourself? Who is Kelly in this very moment?
I really like that. I believe I'm here to help people evolve to a different level in their life that has a infusion of spirituality, but very much my most important thing to do is connect people to their soul. Their soul is their greatest guide ever in their life, in this particular life, and just connecting with that beautiful being, I think, starts a whole other journey that they've been craving for. And to get this sacred on point guidance for you and why you're here and always be conversing with this being like daily is such a comfort and an eye opener. And it just gives you that strongest sense of why you're here and what you should be doing.
Oh, I love that. I would love for you to explore before we dive into your new book, The Embodied Mystic. I have all these questions here. But since you mentioned the soul as being a center kind of piece for the unfolding of, I would say, a meaningful life. So, talk to me more about the soul. What is, how would you describe that? Like somebody who has been living through the light of the soul. I mean, I could imagine you, but talk to me if it is you, beautiful. Talk to me about what is that like on a day-to-day living, and also did that end could be in touch with the soul and suffering. That's one of my actual main interests.
And what was that last part? Could the soul,
And suffering,
oh, and suffering.
the end of suffering. Would that tap into that?
Well, I mean, the soul, to me, I see everybody as a spiritual being in a human body. So there's a whole connection. And before you incarnated in this life, that you were this beautiful spiritual being, which is your soul. You and your soul are one. You just happen to be in this particular vehicle right now, in this body right now, in this lifetime for certain lessons. And there was a soul contract to come in here. So does it eradicate pain? No, because that's probably your lessons, right? And the thing is our energetic field, right? Our chakras, our meridians, our subtle bodies that are just around us, our aura, this whole structure is what goes on to the next life. So when it goes through these particular lessons that we apparently picked, then it becomes more resilient. It becomes stronger. There's wisdom is more crystallized in it. It becomes clearer on certain points. It starts to unblock certain energy patterns and thought and behavioral and emotional patterns. So life is meant to be this long lesson on earth where we have what spirit doesn't have in terms of this mental processing and these things called emotions, and
Right.
they very much take up a huge part of our life. And where isn't there therapy, right? Where isn't there anxious people? So that's our lesson. And so the pain, can you get to a certain place? Yeah, if you go through your lessons. And in your soul, it can be, it's like your buddy,
Mm,
right? And if you start to learn how to tap into it using your intuition and you start to get the feel of how it communicates and is guiding you if you really listen. Get your agenda out of the way, right? And
Mm,
it's a certain way of listening that you let it come in. It's like a receptive meditation versus an active, like trying to make things happen, right?
yeah.
Is you just get these pieces of little nuggets of wisdom that unpack into this whole thought form, and you go, oh, okay. And it's a certain feeling that that feels like home. It feels right,
Mm,
because the world's very busy, and especially now with technology, we're just bombarded with information and opinions and guidance. And if you're lost, you'll just sort of follow anything, and you become more and more confused. So it's just like stopping, turn off the noise, connect. I mean, I'm not the only person who've said this. Many, many people say this, but for me, it's the soul. If you connect with your soul, that's always been there and always will be there because it is you, and you will
mm,
go on with this soul when you pass off this from this life.
mm.
Yeah, so that's how I see things. And when you look at it in this perspective, you're going, wow, that's so there's a double of me, right?
Yeah,
It's a whole different entity altogether.
yeah.
It's more divine, and I'm down here because I decided I needed to work on this a little bit more. And the body is like a 4D, 3D, I guess. Well, four sides and top and bottom of a container that we can work within. So it's like a vehicle that we can really get grounded into it. And that's where the embodiment comes in as well, because we've decided to like drop into this vehicle and face a life of upsets and uncertainty and pain and joy and love as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. So, I mean, it's so true. It kind of includes everything. And I was talking to you off record today, just a little bit, just a piece of it about the shadow side of us, and the dark and the light,
Mhm.
being courageous enough to embrace, or open enough to embrace both. But with everything that you said, that really resonates with me intellectually. I'm wondering if you can kind of put this into a story. I'm very much
Mm.
interested in stories this day. I talked to you off record about that. So maybe perhaps through your own experience, life experience, lived experience, Kelly, can you do that like a short story to kind of bring all these intellectual, informative pieces together?
Absolutely. I When I started getting into spirituality, I just tried all sorts of things, like from crystal to Buddhism to native spirituality. Was just trying them all. I was having a ball, but I
Mm,
was completely unhappy in my life,
right.
completely. I came from a family where I had a very dominant father and almost pummeled out who I was, right? Just that was washed away. There was no voice at the table for that. There's no
Yeah.
voice at the table, even from my mom and my sister, right? There was no, we didn't have a voice at the table. He had a voice, we didn't. So
Mm,
what that does to you is it just silences you and you really don't know how to express yourself or feel it. So
right.
I fell into spirituality and it just felt so great, right? It just felt so great. And I started connected with spirits and I started to learn how to do Reiki and energy work and connection. And my psychic ability came out stronger and stronger. And so I was reading cards and jewelry and I just had a ball, but my life still was miserable. I was still quite unhappy. And it took me a long time to marry the two, right? That I understand now I'm a spiritual being in a human body.
Mm,
So I'm more forgiving for myself and also realize how much power I have to manifest what I want.
right. Right.
Yeah, and but I've wanted to go deeper. I've wanted to figure this out more. I've wanted to expand my consciousness and understanding of the cosmos, of the spirit world, of the earthly world. Like, what is all this about? And at the same time still have a daily life where you got to cook and I babysit my grandkids and
Yeah.
sometimes you have a bad sleep so you don't feel so there's still that earthly, and I'm starting to embrace that more and realize
Right.
I'm just a human, right?
Mm,
Trying to figure all this out as a human being, and we don't come in awakened, because why bother being here, right? You
right.
might as well just stay in a spiritual form
Yes.
than if you know everything and you understand, like you'd come here and you'd go, no, I don't want to be here. It's too much work.
Well, some people
It's
do
too
that.
much.
Some people they actually do that,
Yeah.
right, Kelly? Yeah. Oh, I had enough. But we don't. So what? Just because I just brought this up, and I have heard that from family members, even. Oh, I had enough of this. And I did interview a lot of people who, their relatives or kids committed suicide, and they actually,
Mm.
some of them said that before. I had enough of this. I can't do this. So what is yeah, I would love to hear from you. Like, what are the consequences for the soul when that
Mm.
happens? Are there consequences, spiritual consequences?
It it could be part of the plan that
Okay.
you leave early, right? And you collected what you wanted. But karmically, I believe, I'm thinking, you've got to come back and repeat it again, right?
Right.
So here's your shot at trying to build up your spiritual awareness, your consciousness, working on your energetic field, which is so connected to everything we do. And it just moves back and forth, right? And it can be overwhelming. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to get through life, and I got to figure out, if my energy feels clear enough. So you start to work with that. You take bit by bit, right? All this can be very overwhelming. Going, you don't have to correct everything by this Friday. Right? You don't have that at all. In fact, it's these smaller shifts that make the biggest impact, right? Yeah, and you just go, whoa, I just realized something. It's always best when you realize it on your own. It's great to listen to a podcast and go, aha, aha, but then you've got to really grasp it and decide, this is how I see things now. And this is how I understand why I've been doing that and what I've been going through. And it
Right.
just shifts and a few things fall away, right? You start to align your life in a different way, realizing, okay, I realized what that was about. And it was this repeated behavior or this pattern, or I just kept coming up against this. And I can see why now. And
Mm,
as you become more aware and things start to shift a bit more, you find new teachers and you find, new truths that you start to follow or books you want to read. And
mm,
it becomes a little bit more refined. Like you're
right.
not always just chasing everything, right? In fact, I'm very selective of what I put my eyes to, what I read, what I absorb,
Mhm.
who can work on me energetically,
Right.
even sound frequency, like the music and stuff. I'm very careful about what's
So,
coming into my body because I
mm,
just really like where I am right now, and I'm so excited to keep growing.
mm, oh,
Tomorrow and then 10 years. Yeah.
I love that. What a beautiful piece of, not even advice. This is a, to me, it's just another message, another one of those divine messages that carry so much potential and
Mhm.
power and truth. Yes, kind of be aware of what we are letting in, we're inviting in, the doors that we are open within ourselves, not especially our psyche.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that because I do the same thing, and um, a lot of times I feel like I have to say no almost to, I mean, almost everybody. And I love being alone for a reason because there's
Mm.
something about my own energies that I really, really love. I mean, just kind of like we talked in the first conversation we had, and I actually apologize for going on and on about Vedanta and non-dualism. That became like this ground for me. And then, it didn't matter if I was alone or not. I never felt lonely. That was really the key. And then I
Mm.
became a lot more aware of the people and everything around me. So some people call that sensitivity, that we are, some people even say you're too sensitive, and I heard that. Interestingly enough, I'm almost 50, and I thought I would not hear that from people, around here. Kauai, there's a lot of, spirituality happening. Pretty much everyone's aware of, some form of spiritual ideas or concepts or practices, and you name it. Most of them are actually healers. But then I came across, yeah, some people here who did exactly that, said exactly what I heard from people on the mainland, from my own country, Brazil, growing up. You're too sensitive, maybe it's not a good idea to be that sensitive. So is sensitivity, a quality of the soul, Kelly?
I believe so because I think I mean, people call it empaths or you're
Yeah.
empathetic. As a child, I mean, I definitely was, and I am now. And um, it most certainly is an awareness, a level of awareness, and you pick up certain energetic vibrations. You pick up the
Yeah.
underlying meaning behind stuff. You can read
Yes.
people a lot easier
Yeah.
and understand, where they're coming from or who you do want to hang around with, who you don't want to hang around with. And I think we have to protect our energy. I really do, without becoming a recluse, right? And saying, I don't want anything to do with anybody. You still
Yeah.
have to live. You still have to be a human being because
Uh-huh.
anyone would be very lonely who never
Mm,
conversed with anybody, right?
I agree.
So yeah, definitely, that is a heightened spiritual characteristic for sure. And then now it's now learning how to live with it and how to be wise about it. Like this is where the wisdom comes through. Going, oh, okay, I really understand this group over here, and they've invited me to this whatever gathering, and I think it's really cool what they're doing, but it doesn't resonate with me. Like I wish them the best, and I think if I go there, I don't think I'll be that comfortable, or I don't really believe in what they are believing, and but I wish them all the best, and I think it's okay to do that. I think more and more people do that as they age, right? That's where the
Mm,
life wisdom comes in, but it's also getting to know who you are and what you like and what you need right now in your life.
right. That's it. Yeah. Thank you for saying that too. Why does it take so long? So in my case, yes, that's one. I would say that's my dark side. I usually say that as my shadow is that I have a hard time saying no. So I kind of attract people who are that love that. Oh, great. She won't be able to say no to the things because they also present a whole package. Anyway, my marriages have been that way. So I've been very much attracting. You probably heard about this classical partnership between kind of dynamics between the narcissist and the empath. That's
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a psychology term. Those are oh, especially narcissism is a psychological kind of state. But yeah, why does it take so long? That's my question because it's only now I'm still working on it. Oh, maybe I can say no. But it's something in me, a part of me keeps saying, oh, but there's no such a thing. Everything's sacred. Everything's God. Everything's wonderful. Don't you know? Vedanta taught you that. Vedanta taught you that, that to be open. But now when it causes suffering, right? Now when it's painful, I guess that's something that I need to learn. I'm learning that the hard way.
Well, I don't know why it takes so long. I just kick myself for all the
Mhm.
years that I just wasn't really paying attention and working on it,
Right.
and not realizing that, hey, there's a whole different side of life. And, I just really want to acknowledge the people that have to go to work, maybe in jobs they really don't like, but they need it to make money, and it drains them. Like it just really takes over their
Right.
soul for sure. But when it comes to learning your life lessons, you start to develop a certain wisdom that it embeds in you. Right? You just really ground. You get to know who you are. And
Mm,
then once you learn who you are, then the fun starts where you start to grow into that person. You start to uncover different layers of that person, and you start to realize what it is that you need in order to be fulfilled. That has to come first before we start fulfilling that of everybody else. Otherwise, we'll just get really pulled apart. And life becomes a lot simpler, right? We just decide, even if you have a company that's super busy, it has a lot of moving parts to it, you have a team you develop that you rely on so that you're not constantly drained 10 hours a day trying to run
mm,
this thing, like spinning the plates on the stick type of thing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, Kelly. So it is what you call it knowing oneself. That's very important. I guess I don't phrase it that way because uh, through experience of what I am not, I have not found that that thing that self, that fixed entity that I can call myself. So through experience. So you go through it's a whole method, Vedanta. So I went through the whole method for years. And then, wait a minute. In the end, there's nothing there. It's like this unchanging, really. It's like nothing. In Buddhism, they actually use the word emptiness. It's empty. Everything's empty of, in, let's say, separate existence. So you do not exist as a separate entity because you're part of everything. You are everything. So you're the infinite. So when it comes to the idea of what I am, the way it comes to me now at this moment more clearly is something that I have that I can relate in your book, the opening chapter you sent to me, when you speak of the ancestral wisdom. So bloodline power. You speak of the enlightenment trinity. So divine awareness, bloodline power, and energetic mastery. So we just talked about energetic mastery, right? Just now, be aware of everything. Yes, that requires sensitivity, being sensitive to those things. But I can't wait to talk to you and hear from you about the bloodline power. What is that exactly? Of course, I have my own ideas. I'm experimenting here with so much, but from your perspective, I would love to hear more and more and more, as much as you can share.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, the Enlightenment Trinity model I came up with was I came to realize, and it was, this is, all of this has been channeled too from my own
Yeah.
guides, is we need to work on our energetic field and to protect it just like our physical body. We need to really connect with the divine, be the divine awareness, the whole cosmic, understanding that we're spiritual being in a human body, and then
Yeah.
what does that open up as a spiritual being? What are the other spiritual essences around us? And the third piece I found that has been missing in some of the work out there, and that it's not even about that, is like we're this human being in this amazing body that's complex. And not only is it able to repair itself, is it able to express, it's able to emote, it's able to think.
Right.
It also is a creation of our bloodline right behind us. So all the DNA comes through, the genetic imprints come through, the characteristics, the stories that come through are embedded in us.
Yeah.
And then as a human being, as a
Right.
body, we are so connected to Mother Earth.
Mm,
She's given out vibrations all the time. And then there's the whole celestial world with the moon and the sun and the stars.
yeah.
And so we have the spiritual side and we have the energetic side, and now bringing them together into our bodies, which really grounds it all, going, wow, this is like a kaleidoscope existence.
Huh, yes.
Right, we are so, there's so many different things going on, and it may sound overwhelming to some people, and I don't blame them, like, oh my gosh, I have another thing I have to consider. But when you start to think about that, and there's no rush and there's no perfection here, right, it's just a journey, you're just here for a lesson, is when you start to realize the complexity of the ancestral coming through.
Mm,
And even with Carl Jung and his collective unconsciousness,
yes. Yeah.
unconscious is, as human beings, we all behave in certain ways. We all visualize the world in certain ways. And you bring all those together and you go, actually, this is really pretty cool. This
Mm,
is really pretty cool. I've got a lot of pieces here I can work with, whatever calls to me to work on next.
yeah.
Maybe you're feeling very blocked in your energy and you're drained. Work on your energy.
Mm,
Maybe you do want to connect with your soul and your guardian angel and whoever else you want to connect with on a spiritual level, and just expand that more.
right.
Work on that side. Or then
Right.
you come back to the human and go, like, this is what I'm going through right now. It's like I'm really trying to work with more earthly connection, and I'm starting to tap into goddess work. Goddess
Mm,
work is so beautiful. It's this the divine essence, right?
yes.
And the
Yeah.
feminine essence, and it is really working for my body right now. It's like now I know I have something I can pour into that
Mm,
and connect with that energy and that huge connection to Mother Earth and Gaia. It's
right.
so satisfying,
Yeah.
right? So then next year maybe I'll be focusing on something else spiritually. Like it
Mm,
really is a beautiful journey, and I totally get it when people go, I just want to get there. I just want to get this pain out of me. I just want to feel better. I just, Well, then you got to start somewhere. And I always say start with connecting with your soul. And when you start working with energies and spiritual beings, your body and energetic field has to be aligned. It has to be able to open to that type of light coming in. It's got to be open to that type of messaging coming in terms of how to process it,
Right.
without freaking you out, right? It so
Yes.
definitely that's as an energy healer, it's like get rid of those old blocks, and sometimes those old energetic blocks I move out because I can visually see them when I close my eyes. Is ancestral or it's karmic, a karmic lesson, right?
Mm,
We're carrying those as well,
mm,
and I read those and say, okay, what is this all about? And people go, oh yeah, that makes sense because I know I struggle with that. Well, here's why. So that awareness, it's like, okay, I got to deal with this. Like Kelly's just not going to remove it, and I'm great, right? If she moves it out of the way, who's to say it won't come back again, right? So
right.
it's like
Right.
just taking a look at that. So yeah, it's really that's where you see, Earth has become is a school. It's a school to come down here and just learn, and that's how it works. And so my learning is going to be different than your learning, but not far off, right? Because you're processing emotions and thoughts, and so am I, and you're dealing with a physical body, and so am I. So there's a lot of similarities between human beings, and those that are more enlightened or awakened or whatever they call it are just working in this type of level of
Yeah.
awareness and going, okay. And there's days I have bad days. I just went through a terrible emotional experience
Wow.
with my family,
Yeah.
and it was like one of those sleepless
Oh,
situations, and
tell me about it.
I just had had enough of something after
Mm,
many, many years. And
mm,
I hit this wall. It just came flooding out of me that I just don't tolerate this anymore. So now what am I going to do? First of all,
right.
I had to calm my emotions down to put them into a certain place, not remove them, so I could address them.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing with emotional work. And then the
Mm,
mental is like,
mm,
okay, what stories am I telling myself, and dialogue and narrative of it going on about this situation. And I just got real and raw, and I could breathe through my emotions. That helps release them as well. Brings down the intensity. They don't go away. That's
right.
the shadow work. They won't go away if you don't address them. Then
Mm,
they're just going to come back and bite you in some other way, right?
true.
And just look at it and go, okay, so I'm a human being and I'm angry right now. Yes, that's a shadow work. And obviously, I've been attracting this. Okay, I've been attracting this. And why is that? I love myself. So why? So I'm going to
Mm,
help myself right now. And it's a process. It's not like just like that. 5 minutes later, it's gone. No, no, because those are big lessons. So
mm,
processing it and putting it into perspective, a new perspective within your life, I think is the way to go. And just really realizing you're just a human being and you're not meant to be perfect,
mm,
right? Even spirits aren't perfect. I mean, our souls are on a journey.
yeah.
That's why we're down here. Our soul is trying to evolve in some way as well, right?
Right. Oh my God, Kelly. Thank you for sharing that. Your personal, because there's something about, you see, that's what I'm interested in now more than any other time in my life. Maybe when I started, yeah, 10 years ago, 2015, when oh, it was like this huge change in my life. Something just told me it had to be the voice of the soul. I just had enough too of the emotional pain from my past, all the traumas. And then, I mean, was like at that cliff, I was about to jump. I mean, not really psychologically, but not physically, when I had suicidal thinking for the first time at the age of, how old was I at the time? 30, was that 37? 37, I think I was. Yeah. Yeah, 37, 38.
Mm.
And that was it. Okay, something has to change now. And the interesting thing was at that time, I remember clearly something inside of me, a voice said, "You're already dead. So what if you were able to come alive? What would you do if you just had one more chance?" As if I had already committed suicide, and now I was just back here in the world. And then what would you do now with that knowledge? And that's, oh my God, Kelly, it changed everything. I just said, wait a minute, I would just smile to life. I was just so grumpy. my entire up to that point. I was just I couldn't laugh, I couldn't giggle, I couldn't smile. It was just I mean, it was really bad. If you think about it, it was just a life that you cannot really experience joy. I couldn't let it out. It's almost like I was not allowed to. Something in me was not allowing the rest of me to be. So that changed everything that point, and then it got me pretty much where I am now. And then I kind of learned to, I mean, nothing after that. It became so much more, I don't say easy because not easy. It hasn't been easy, but a lot more joyful, really. And then, I laugh. I'm always laughing about everything. I mean, I find things to smile at, myself, when I look at myself in the mirror, when I dance around the house. So it just changed everything when, from that perspective of joy, kind of expressing joy. And I'm wondering if that's another quality of the soul, of love. Is it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We all find we wake up and we're sitting in some puddle, some mud puddle, right?
Yeah.
And we have choices to make. But
Yep.
I think it's realizing. And you came to a point you went, I choose life. I
That's it.
choose life right now. And some people may not switch as beautifully as you did into this joyful outlook, right? This life is still tough. It is tough.
Right. It's not easy.
So
Not all easy.
but you decided on that. That was just your shift, right? And
Right.
some other people might just have a smaller shift,
Yeah.
but they could easily fall back into the same situation again
Oh.
until they just get it. It's like that's also called the school of hard knocks.
Mm,
So the school, that's why I think a lot more people are awakening right now. And there's a lot more of us to help them, including yourself, right? Great. You see there's a bigger piece to all this. There's light. There's this beautiful spiritual world, and we're meant to be down here to experience life and help each other and love and emote and feel and think,
mm,
and
mm,
it gets messy. Life is supposed to be messy. It's not supposed to be nice and clean, right? And
mm.
even probably our understanding of the spirit world is probably a little bit too, utopian like. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know. Don't,
Yes.
I won't know until after I'm gone what it's really like up there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think absolutely it's, you got to go through it. And I've heard one thing once, and I mean, I'll just share it. I don't know if it's true or not, but I just love the concept of it. Is that there are some certain soul contracts that say, land me in a really bad life, right? So that I wake up faster,
Yeah.
right? So that could be like children, living in an abusive home or something along that line, or, starving or homeless or something like this. And they shift a lot harder, those people, when they finally get it. And some of them, mostly in their teens, get it. But
Right.
also some, just like you say, just don't go on. And I don't think suicide is anything to be ashamed of. I think it's just a choice, and maybe it was even part of your contract. This is
Mm,
what is going to happen, so
right.
that you come back, a certain piece has been clarified, fixed, or experienced, and then you come back again to this life and start from that point. I'm not sure, but
Right.
it can be complicated. Yeah.
It sounds like it sounds like from from that perspective of suffering. That's why I keep going back to that question. And I really thought about creating a new program called the End of Suffering. It was called like the Golden Flower, the End of Suffering. But then it didn't really progress. It didn't unfold. I think because naturally, as I start asking people around me, would this end off? Whatever they were presenting as a teaching, could be a spiritual or astrology, energy healing, whatever it was. Does it end suffering? Does it end? That was my question. Could this end suffering? And then pretty much everybody said no, no. It will. It will make it more clear. Maybe you suffer less, but will not end suffering. And but that's the thing, though. In Vedanta, they do claim that it is possible. That once you understand that you are not what you think you are, then everything changes. At the same time, remains the same, but you don't suffer anymore. The only difference is that you perceive everything differently. So now you're walking this world, it's you without you, pretty much. And then a lot of people see you as still as a human doing all these things, but it's not the way you experience it anymore. It's a lot more magical in a sense, where you just kind of go, moment by moment, and you see the incredibly beautiful thing experience this is. Even in the
Yeah.
sense that it's almost impossible. I mean, I call it impossible too, Kelly, in the sense that, it's impossible. To me, it's impossible. In Vedanta, in a sense, kind of backs that. They say in the end of the Vedas, they say that's Advaita Vedanta, right? It's a sector of the Vedas at the end. And then they say, yeah, this is just a dream. So basically, it is impossible for you to have any kind of suffering, for you to be a limited human being with a limited mind. That doesn't exist. All this is a dream, or it's
Mm.
like a dream. So it's a sub reality. It's not. So yeah, that's right. So in a sense, that intuitive, anybody who came into this world and had this, like, I don't know, this glimpse into the truth, it was for a reason. So I don't know, that kind of made sense to me. It's something in me resonates with that still. And maybe that creates the ground for more playfulness too, where I
Yeah.
kind of choose to laugh and to be joyful more than anything else. I mean, if it's not joyful, I'm not doing it, basically. Everything that I do in
Yeah.
life right now. If it's not
That's
joyful, I'm not
great.
doing it. That's my guiding principle.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And just like you choosing how you want to experience life now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And so these things come to you. I think that's true manifestation right there.
Ah, so that's what it is. Wow, I didn't have I mean, I don't. You see, because as you said, on your own experience, you tried so many things. I tried so many things, trying to end suffering and then tap into joy, right? A life that is that you just wake up and I think joy has to do with light, right, Kelly? Like it's lightness. I mean, light, playfulness, lightness. They all go together. I keep explaining that way when somebody asks me, when I'm talking about, joy. It's really something that is doesn't have a reason, really, a logical reason to be. I don't need to make $1 million to be joyful. I don't need to have an amazing, tasty meals, tasty foods or anything that external. It's something that kind of arises from that sense. I think it's the love for life as it is, isn't it? As exact.
And it's the love for self, you know.
Ah, right.
Yeah, you made
Right.
a decision as I'm going to love myself and I'm going to be okay
Mhm.
with how things are right now and I'm going to enjoy what's around me as opposed to
Mm.
wishing for more stuff and wishing for more
Yeah.
things to happen. It's like I'm going to shift this, and that and also you start to align your life. What can be, who can be in it, who can't, right? You
Right.
start to shift things when you wake up. People think that their life will drastically change if they decide to become spiritually more aware, and it doesn't really happen like that. For you, you just decided that type of relationship
Mm.
not for me anymore, right?
Right.
In fact, let's just step away from relationships for a while and let's find me and connect
Mm.
with me and joy. And I just want to experience this now, this whole new awareness.
Mm.
And then but when people, and then things start to align in your life, and sometimes you keep things in your life and you love them even more, right? It could be
Mm.
your work, it could be your family, it could be yourself. So like
Yeah.
it's not a drastic change, but like you said, it's like you're sort of move into a different chair from which you're looking at the world, and it sticks. It's just not a temporary thing for a couple of hours, it sticks, and you start to see things. So that's like was an awakening for you. That was
Mm.
yours, I believe.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly it. And it doesn't feel like a practice though. Although the choice of having a choice might be the practice, right, Kelly? Choosing from moment to moment. Oh no, and like I said, if it's not joyful, I'm not doing it. So that might be what, because I never thought it that way. Yes. So going back to the ancestral
Mhm.
wisdom. So that's something. that really, really caught my attention within the work that you're doing, the book that you're writing. So I love the title of your book. Boy, I would love to. I mean, I have so many ideas. I'm very creative, sometimes too much, that I have to wants to have somebody to speak about, these things that seem very linear or very business-like. I can't do it. I would just kind of laugh all the way all the way through it and never get anything done in that sense. But yes, I'll just have fun. The embodied mystic. I mean, I loved this the concept, these words together. I thought the mystic it was already like the embodiment of enlightenment, but then embodied a mystic. So you're going deeper into the layers and layers and
Mm.
layers of being, which is so true. We got the mind, and then, I mean, there's so many sub realities. The reality of thinking, right, of the mind, memories, and the what do you call dreams, the visions, intuition, all that goes through the mind. Then you have body, this body wisdom that comes another layer, and then you have the ancestor that sometimes comes in visions and dreams and all that. Oh, so for me at this point, like I mentioned to you off record, it's about storytelling. So it feels like whatever's left of me in a sense, besides the one that wants to just have fun, fun in a sense, meaningful fun. I really don't engage with anything that's superficial for some reason. I guess it comes with the territory, right, Kelly, too. It's very wise, so it eats properly, doesn't eat that much. It's always like, isn't that interesting? Because I just gave myself to it. I said, okay, you guide me and you show me the way. It's almost like giving your car
Mm.
for a child to drive. Like, are you sure about that? You're going to give it to a child? Well, if it is a wise child, yeah, why not? So, yeah, I think I did that. So now it's coming. This other layer is unfolding, and it's kind of lighting me up when it's like that joy again. Like, oh, storytelling. Yes, I wrote a whole book 10 years ago about my life story, right? That was a long book and very painful one. But now it's coming back in kind of writing, almost like rewriting that book, but making it into a short story, something that I
Hmm.
could talk and I could even sing it. It's almost like it could become a song, even something that you could dance to. So a short story, and that has been the point. Maybe that's what the soul wants, isn't it? Like in the end, you go through this storm, this journey. The hero's journey. You probably heard about that. It's really hard. All these hard, the hard knock that you said, that kind of
The School of Hard Knocks.
the squad
Yeah.
where you go through that journey.
Yeah.
And then what? It'd be amazing if you could tell the story, isn't it? You just
Yeah.
come back and say, this is what I went through, and this is what I learned, and this is where I am now. I mean, isn't that wonderful? I think that's, to me now at this moment, it has been the most, yeah, is really kind of showing me another path to joy that I never thought possible, actually. I dropped storytelling a long time ago. Like, oh, they are not necessary. They create more problems than anything else. In a sense, even stories created to manipulation of the masses and all that. As you know, storytelling has
Mm.
been used to manipulate, to abuse, to control. So now that maybe that's why my psyche, there was something that was like it was imprinted even when I growing up with my parents too, kind of manipulation through thinking, to speaking things that was just kind of self-interest that could help them,
Mm.
not me. So yes, is that something that I'm trying to come up with a question. Is that this relates to ancestral wisdom? is that is that what?
Well, human being. I'll put my teacher's cap on. And I, learned a lot about how to teach people, and I've taken have a minor in psychology around how the learner and the brain
Mm,
works and stuff.
mm,
Is we're wired for storytelling,
yeah.
human beings, and that's why people love stories and they love to hear about other people's stories, because we need to make meaning of stuff. Like, what does that mean, right? We
Yeah.
need to understand. I mean, and the very, very deep shadowy side of that is we just want to survive, so we are always learning how to
Mm,
survive better. But storytelling is the ancestral. I mean, even like pre-recording, or probably in your family and my family, these things weren't written down. They
Right.
came through as story, right? And they were maybe about inanimate objects, or they were about some god, or they were about some, spiritual being, animal, something like this. Or it was like there's always a myth behind it and there's a purpose behind it. And human beings just love story. We can really, really relate to it. And I think you touched on something that's really important there. And I most certainly have experienced this myself in my own life. There's just too much intellectual uh,
Mm, mm,
endeavors now. Everything's, but humans are craving feeling and story
yeah.
and meaning and humanness. They're
Yes.
craving humanness. And now with AI,
Oh, yes.
it's changing the world in terms of service and product production, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't know what you're listening to. Is it AI just make that up? Or,
Right.
even little vignettes, little videos of like surreal stuff happening. It's like, is that AI or is that real? And that
Yes.
really messes us up, right? And so I think
Right.
people are going to be have a lot more discernment around what they're going to listen to. But you're working with your own story, or you put perspectives into a story. And I think when I speak to the spirit world, it's just those little nuggets of could even just be a phrase, and they call it them downloads, right? And I don't know
Yeah.
if that's what I have, but I'm
Right.
just trying to equate it to something. And all of a sudden, this whole concept unpacks. Like I understand more than just what that phrase said. And so I think stories do that. They're so rich. And our ancestors most certainly did work through stories. And our ancestors are all in us, good and bad. I always
Mm,
like to think of it as pretending they're standing behind you,
right.
thousands of years of ancestors. Just visualize all those people behind you who
Right.
love you,
Right.
who you are connected to, both your mother and your father's side, and then it multiplies and multiplies. And you think about that, and you realize, certain traits come through around surviving, right?
Yeah.
How to make wise choices, stay away from poisonous snakes, right? Stuff
Right.
like that, right?
Yes.
And they
Yes.
also celebrated. They had joy as well, and those traits come through. And this is all research. I'm not making this up. This is all sort of genetic research, and certain characteristics and behaviors in people.
Yeah.
And then Carl Jung, he worked with a lot of people that were mentally disturbed, and he
Yeah.
noticed that they kept referring to iconic things and stories that they would never have been in contact with. So we're wired a certain way, let's put it that way. And
Right.
people need to get back in touch with their human side of themselves, right?
Right.
And because the world out there is not going to give that to you. The world out there has become very capitalistic.
Mm,
Not, at least in North America, it is,
yeah.
right? I can't speak
Right.
for other parts of the world. And I think the people that try to keep their culture alive, or their tribal life alive,
Mm-hmm.
that's what they're doing. They're working. They definitely deal with story, but story calms us down, and there's no sort of sophisticated language where we're like, I don't really understand that, but it sounds like I should do it. But when you say story, you go, oh, okay, now I understand that. And I think that's what people need to get back to, and people are actually craving in this very modern world.
More of that ancestor kind of. Well, here in Hawaii is all about that. They talk about ancestry all day long, and I understand why. But would you use another word for that? Not a lot in the spiritual realm. We say the inner world, inner wisdom, our intuition. But then is that one and the same? Can we use all these terms and concepts in the same way when it comes to storytelling? Coming.
Yeah, I think so. When I think of ancestral, genetics, it's deep in our cells. And like I always say that our body is smarter than us, right? For
Oh,
example, if
yeah.
our gut is churning, it's trying to tell you something. It doesn't
Yeah.
like a certain situation, or doesn't want to do something, right?
Yeah.
If you start to get a rash, or something like this, then this environment is affecting you, even though you go, no, it's fine, I'll just put some cream on it. But like, listen to the rash, right? Or listen to that, your stomach, or or listen to if your throat constricts, right? Like,
Mm.
listen to it because it's much smarter than you, because that's a subconscious that's starting to speak, right? And
Um,
so there's certain genetic responses in our body that doesn't involve our brain, right? It's in the genes on how we react to things. So there's this whole bodily part of our wisdom and understanding and who we are and being a human. And then there's the intellect, which can come with that, but it's also developed, right? Our
yeah,
intellect is developed. Our emotions are pretty raw, but it is also trained how we're supposed to emote with stuff. And if we're, stuffed down a little bit, it sounds like you had sort of the same experience as I did as a child. It's just going to
yes.
blow up one day. It's just going to come out,
Mm.
right? So there's this whole physical body, and it's very cool. Our
Yeah.
cells, we have billions of cells in our body, right? It's amazing that it just functions. And you go walk around barefooted, or you go and hug a tree, you just be 100% nature, or stand in the
Mhm.
water.
Yeah.
You know how your body feels. It
Yes.
goes to this place of recognition. So that's why I did the three together, is because it can't all just be intuition, which is inner guidance or external guidance,
Mm.
and all sort of energy, etheric sort of stuff. There's also this beautiful human body. And if we look at it differently and embrace it and realize its intelligence, and it's alive, right?
Right.
And all that's coming forward. Like, I just think right back to the cavemen days. That's my
Yeah.
ancestors,
Yeah.
right? It just coming all the way forward. And it's quite amazing. And it helps you too, I think, when you start to unpack, why do I keep doing that? Okay, is this
Mhm.
ancestral? Is this
Mm.
something that came
Mm.
through? And
Mm.
sometimes it is, and you go, oh my gosh. So, you have a
Yeah.
choice. You have a choice of going, okay, I'm going to take that wisdom, or I'm going to take that doesn't serve me anymore in modern day. I'm not worried about being attacked by somebody with a club or a spear. I'm not worried about
Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
this life, so I can let that go. Thank you very much. I have
Mm.
these meditations around that, is connecting with your ancestors, and then whatever, it's more in the book there. And also I have courses and meditations, audio meditations that take people through that, connecting with that. What is that one thing? What's that mental looping that keeps happening? And you keep reacting in a certain way, even though you don't want to, right? This
Right.
addresses it at the deeper level. And that's your shadow work. So shadow work is not that scary,
Mm.
dark, murky stuff. It is about being human. And
Uh,
shadow is just being human and going, okay, I keep thinking this way, or I keep reacting that way. And I'm going to embrace it and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. Okay, so let's unpack it. And you have this process that you go through, and your body knows, your mind knows, your soul knows that if you start to unpack it, you're going to unpack it in your own unique way.
Right.
And you're going to put it into perspective, and you're going to realize, I'm just not going to be this way anymore. I'm not going to think that way anymore. I've either made that bad decision, or maybe genetically it's coming through.
Mm.
You also have to just have discernment around the energies and the entities that are around you.
Mm.
There are some
Yeah.
spiritual beings that they're light, but they may persuade you to do this or that or the other thing, and
Right.
it's just protecting yourself with this beautiful white light, and just say, I don't want you anywhere near me. Especially when I do this type of work, or I take people through a guided journey, and in the videos or the audio pieces that I have,
Yeah.
I always ask for protection, because when we go into these meditative states, we're much more open. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. It's real, right? I mean, it's
Right. Right.
energy. We're all just energy, and we're all floating around. And
Oh yeah.
we when we think that, that goes out there. When we say something, that energy goes out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love your work, Kelly. It's beautiful. I love
Thank
your
you.
generosity. I know you offer a lot of I mean, you're writing a book now. I'm surprised that you didn't before, but this, life is about timing too, right? I would say. So you have so many offerings. I want to mention some of them, and please let me know if this is accurate, still accurate. Meet Your Soul is one, and then you offer
Mhm.
Sacred Healing Journey, Energy Magic program. I love the word magic here. Womb work experience. And your website is kellyedmonds.com. It'll be clickable on the podcast notes. We're almost at the end, but I wanted to. Is that, did I miss anything about your services, Kelly?
I've also created a new course, I'll
Mm.
say, and it's about around energy mastery. So you don't see a lot of these courses around, and it's called Deeply Heal Yourself. And I take you through 8 weeks of learning how to work with your own energy and clear it and stabilize it and illuminate it. So you become your own self healer. And a lot of these, but it's also experiences. It's just not talking head teaching. I
Right.
take you there and you start to understand how to clear your chakras in new ways and work with your subtle bodies. Because this is, like I said, the energetic structure we need to keep expanding in order to receive more light and to see and evolve spiritually and the whole spiritual development. So I thought I'm just going to create this course. So this is what I do for myself on myself when I work on my energy field, and this is what I do on clients. I do a lot more with clients, but this is a how-to course, but it's also an entire experience. So you close your eyes and all this stuff
Mm.
starts to happen to you, and I emit a lot of energy through my recordings, so you feel them as well. But then you start to learn, okay, I'm feeling like this energetic cord. I just had an argument with somebody and I could just feel their energy in me. How do I
Yeah.
clear that? So you go back and you listen to that audio piece and it takes you through this experience, this journey of letting that go. And then
Right.
you start to be able to do it on your own after that. But it's always nice to have somebody else do it for you, right?
Oh, yes, right. And I love that you brought it up the piece of becoming your own healer, because now you're finding your own way of returning home, isn't it? I think that's
Yeah.
one most important thing. Like once you find something of greatness, we don't want to get lost. I mean, you could, but then knowing how to come back is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Um, so there's something that I wanted to say. Yes. So one of the things that and I don't know if this is accurate as of now. I'm experimenting, still experiment my entire life, experimenting with these things. When I meet people, and usually it's almost like I wonder if they could become, especially when they call themselves healers or spiritual, the label of spiritual teachers and all that. What my expectation usually is, it's like, is that like meeting being near a tree or by the ocean? I wonder if we could become, if there's such a thing as a human nature, like human medicine. Like you
Mm.
feel like a flower, like you're just looking at a flower. I mean, literally, or the ocean or the sky. And it's interesting because I have found that to be true with some humans that I have met. They looked very ordinary. They actually don't call themselves, they don't do any of this work or no labels. And of course, I have met some amazing, beautiful, incredibly beautiful people here, and you being one of them, which kind of
Oh,
I
thank
felt,
you.
yeah, in your presence. I just, well, the way I can describe that is like I feel like I'm near this magnificent tree, like or
Oh, thank you.
flower. I'm like, oh, this feels so amazing. Uh, is that really something that is that useful when it comes to that discernment that you spoke earlier? Being able to discern what pathways in life, people, things, place, as they say. Is that what we is that a good way of describing that journey?
I think so. I think, certain people have a presence about them and their energy field is really great and they're just oozing with wisdom and calmness.
Yeah.
And you just want to hang around them, even if you're just talking about the weather or knitting, you don't care
Yeah.
because you pick up something from them, right? That there's this certain vibration and frequency. And that's part of our spiritual development is raising our frequency and that whole energetic structure and healing your energy field. You
Mm,
raise your frequency so you receive more, right? You
yeah.
start working from a different plane, if you want to call it, while you're, terra firma, your feet are on the earth. And I think that's what you feel with people. Like, I feel that around most certainly the elders in the Native community in
Yeah.
Canada and the Native people, like especially the women, right?
Mm,
You get around a grandmother she
Yes.
doesn't have to say anything. You just want to like lean into her, right? It's like
Yes,
she
that's
has a
it.
lot of wisdom and she's made a lot of choices in her life and she's has
Mm,
a certain perception and
mm,
she's okay with herself and
yeah.
she just has love for her family and her community.
Mm,
But there's a certain presence and an old wisdom, and she recites this wisdom, right? And it's ancestral as well, right?
yes.
And
Yes.
through the creator, that's who they honor.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. I like that. Like there's certain pillars or certain presences on this earth that some people don't go into that whole spiritual work, that just being around them, right?
Mm,
And I think they also ground a lot of their energy into the earth too.
right.
They just naturally do that. And yeah, I love that. I love how you see that in people. I think it was a really great analogy.
Yeah, I because that's exactly what was kind of something in me was looking for. I love the way you say that about the natives. Yeah, I have found it to be true here too. When I
Mm.
meet them, like, oh my God, it's like a big tree, like a huge tree. There's this sense of groundness, yes, but also silence. It's very calm. It's very silent. Like, oh my God, I can just be myself. And I start, and now you know me, and then I'll just, I mean, you don't really know me, but if I'm around somebody like that, I start skipping like, I mean, dancing like a child because that's the expression here, right? I think that joyful thing. I don't know if this is becoming embodiment, the embodiment of that idea of the concept of joy. And for some people, it's kind of uncomfortable. I noticed that. Ah, you're dancing too much. You just jumping too much. Can you just be quiet? Someone's like, kind of scolding children. And I found people to be adults, not to be that way. Kind of treat me like I'm a
Mm.
child. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not being a child here. I'm just really genuinely happy
Yeah.
to be here. I love being, and some people don't understand that, and that's the kind of people that I kind of stay away from. Like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
if I cannot express myself, then I'll just stay away from them.
Yeah.
Gosh, so Kelly, it has been wonderful, this to meet you again and to have this conversation. I just
And
love
you
it.
too. You
Yeah, thank
too.
you. Any final?
I just love your work as well and what you're doing. And you're such a brave, passionate woman. And I love how you're coming from a place where you learned, you said, this is where I'm going to come from. And
Mm,
look what's unfolding around you. And
yeah,
is it easy? No. I mean, we still have to do
mm,
things. We still have to run our businesses.
yeah,
We still have to get up in the morning, pay the mortgage, whatever it is.
yeah.
But you do it from a place of, I see a whole bigger purpose here, right? I
Mm,
see I'm
mm,
part of this
yes.
world and I'm part of this life, and I'm just gonna enjoy it all the way. And I'm like, look how lucky I am, right? Look how lucky with what I have right now. And I
Mm,
think that's the thing too, is stop looking to the future and look at like what I have right now. And when you do, that's manifesting. It just
mm.
starts to bloom and you get more of that, right?
That's it. Thank you for the recognition of that truth. Yeah, that is in here. Yes, yeah. I have no idea what I have so many. I have this big vision and all these plans and the mission and all these things, all these projects. But in truth, I just love being present and I love laughing. I can't help it. I can't help it. Oh, anything that would just give me an excuse to laugh. I'm just like, and that's a way of transmuting actually also all kinds of energies too. I just kind of let them rise instead of, finding different kinds of expression. That's where I think, okay, laughter will be my way of expressing that energy. So yeah, I think they call transmutation. I do these things naturally, and I have no idea where I learned that, but I think it has to do with the ancestor wisdom. Again, it goes back to
Mm.
that part that. I mean, now it's becoming like essential. So it's an essential part of your work. And I didn't know that when we talked. I think, of course, you mentioned to me before, but I was not ready to hear. Isn't that funny, Kelly? Sometimes we are not ready to hear
Mm.
certain things, right? We're not open enough for, huh? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just now,
Mm.
it's like, wait a minute. That's it. I was just reading everything that the opening of your new book, and then that was it. Just that this is it. So thank you so much again. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything that you would like to end the conversation with? Messages or anything?
I just, I'm hoping that this podcast inspires people looking at two human beings that started off life a bit rough and got hurt and were oversensitive. And we were able to become strong enough to realize what our our gifts were, like why we were like this, and what we choose to do, and how it's shifted our life. That anyone can go through this. We're just not these two extraordinary human beings that only people like us are going to have these insights and this way of living. It's like we created that and we chose that. And I hope for the rest of the people who are listening to this, that they find that joy in their life as well, and they find that meaning, and just that consciousness, that awareness that will shift everything, and realize that you're just a spiritual being in a human body doing the best you can, and just enjoy all those different parts of you, and learn
Yeah.
how to play with them, and learn how to heal them, and learn how to love them, and learn how to grow them. And I think in the end, and my book, I think the Embodied Mystic really gives people a lot of tools. The whole last section of it is all practical application,
Mm.
right? So it's all written down on how to work with all these different elements of yourself.
Yes. Thank you so much again for this beautiful work, for your presence. Starts with your presence and your willingness of taking that gosh, taking that call, isn't it? It's a calling.
Mm.
So it's almost like picking up the phone. It's a choice. So you did, I did, and so many other people that I meet, that I meet here, have done that. So thank you so much again, Kelly, for
Thank
everything.
you.
Thank you. And we'll be in touch again. I would love to meet you one of these days, but for now,
Yes, I want to
yeah.
come to Hawaii
Oh, that would be
and
amazing. I
see
can't
your
wait.
place.
I can't wait so we can do some joy dance. So, yeah, you have a beautiful day where you are now, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha.